To all-out politics from Brussels, where the negotiations have entered the final phase at this European Council to give Britain the green light to move forward to the next phase of the Brexit talks. Mrs May's not here. She flew home last night after being given a round of applause by EU leaders when she had urged them to agree to a quick transition period and to give their formal approval to progress made so far. Well, we can speak now to the former leader of UKIP, Nigel Farage, still, of course, a member of the European Parliament, and he joins me now from Westminster. Mr Farage, first of all, the government's saying it has no plans to drop this idea of writing the date of Brexit on the front of the withdrawal legislation. How important do you think it is that that should be there?
Very important. I mean, what we've seen over the course of 2017 is slippage at every level. A Prime Minister that now wants us to go into a transition phase, which, who knows, could last even until the next general election. And I think if the 29th of March 2019 was to be dropped as the date when we formally leave the European Union, I think that would be a sign that the political class are basically stopping Brexit from happening.
Of course, there are those who say that it's not necessary anyway, because a two-year period is triggered by Article 50, and we all know when that comes to an end, March in 2019.
Well, that's right, and that's actually why there shouldn't be a transition deal either. You know, I mean, it took 9 months to trigger Article 50, 2 years of Article 50, and now, as I say, the Prime Minister wants to extend the whole thing for at least another 2 years. So, no, look, I hope that at least we leave the European Union in name at the end of March 19, and I think the Prime Minister must stick very firmly to that.
Well, if we leave in name, we might still be in a transition phase which could have many of the same trade agreements in place. And, of course, we know that we've already committed to go on paying.
Yeah, I mean, look, transition, all that transition is a slightly worse form of membership than we currently have, which is why I'm so completely opposed to it. It also threatens, of course, to hold us back in terms of making progress with the rest of the world. It's sending out a very negative signal to America, Australia and elsewhere. But worst of all, from a Brexit point of view, you know, this transition may well go on until the next general election. And who's to say we might get a Corbyn-led coalition that then wants to keep us inside the customs union and single market in perpetuity.
But, you know, isn't the reality that the reason why this question of a transition period has come up is because your version of what you'd like to see would drive the British economy off a cliff with many dire consequences?
Yeah, I'm really sorry, but, you know, just because a few tariffs get put on some goods does not drive the British economy off a cliff. I mean, goodness me, the amount sterling goes up and down every month is more than the amount of most of those tariffs. It would give us the opportunity to take back control of fisheries, to take back control of global policy. And hey, you know, America and China trade with Europe on WTO rules, and they do it pretty successfully.
Yeah, but it would also mean, wouldn't it, a hard border either between North and South in Ireland or between East and West?
This is all completely fictional. You know, already we have a different currency in the north and the south of Ireland.
Well, America and China have got borders, I seem to remember.
You know, we have a different tax structure already that exists between the north and south. And through technology, if there was no tariff-free deal, you know, frankly, the Northern Irish problem is one the Commission have tried to put there.
Well, it's one that the British government accepts there, and so does the Dublin government. So it's
the British government,
for national governments. It's not about the Commission.
Yeah, the British government accepts everything. In fact, the British government concedes and gives into everything. I mean, isn't it remarkable that a British Prime Minister gets up at 3:45 in the morning, flies to Brussels to meet a deadline, puts 40 billion quid on the table as part of that, and today we're told they might start talking to us about trade in March. I mean, we are not coming out of this very well, and she's behaving like the leader of a defeated country. I
mean, you yourself, of course, have been, you've already been doing this interview attacking career politicians, but you are a career politician, aren't you? You're a member of the European Parliament, man who's going to receive former party leader, go to get a pension for your work in the European Parliament. So you're just another one, aren't you?
Well, you know, career politician is about a state of mind, isn't it? Career politician is generally about playing safe, about maintaining the status quo, and about putting your own career advancement above anything else. I don't think I qualify as a career politician, given that I've done everything I can to be the turkey that voted for Christmas and to get rid of British MEPs.
But I mean, you've had more comebacks as a party leader than Frank Sinatra. I mean, doesn't that really make you someone who wants to be a politician, who wants to be a political leader?
No, not really. I'd be much happier, Adam, staying in business, living a normal life, and never having got involved in politics at all. But I did because I could see that our career political class in Westminster was so gutless that they would sell us out to Europe at every opportunity. And the sadness is that we forced that referendum. We played a big part, UKIP, in helping to win that referendum. But sadly, the day after the referendum, the very people that I'd fought against for 25 years were still in charge. And that's why we're in the mess we're in.
Now, you did focus to a certain extent on the issue of immigration during the referendum campaign. Yeah. Where do you think that question has got to now in the negotiations between the UK and the European Union?
Well, we are so busy meeting all of their demands on EU citizens' rights, and in particular issues such as family reunion, that if you allow for the transition deal as well, it is unlikely that we will have any change of control of people coming into the UK from the EU for at least 6 or 7 years after we voted to leave, and that is the best possible estimate. So at the moment, the immigration argument is going by default. It's not being discussed in British politics, not being discussed in Westminster at all. But please don't think that out there in the real country it is not still a major issue, because it is.
What do you think the consequences would be if there is a final Brexit deal, but that it doesn't result in less immigration from the European Union?
Well, if we finish up without proper control of our borders, bound to single market rules, which means we're not able to set our own rules for our own industries, if that kind of Norway-type status, which certainly Keir Starmer from Labour now appears to want, if that's where we finish up, then I think there may well be one more great big European battle to be fought.
And how would you think that battle would shape up?
Well, I think what's interesting is whilst the Remainers and the political class have gained in confidence all through this year and you know, doing their bit, defeating the government in the Commons and all of these things, I think what's really interesting is what's happening to public opinion. And all I see is a genuine hardening, not just around Brexit, but a genuine desire not to be part of a European Union that wants to militarise and is being more open than ever about becoming a United States of Europe.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed for joining us from